Meaning that I would go to my marriage. For example, from dating to marriage changed. Meaning, I wasn't just dating my wife, dating her, on a Friday night we decided to go out, when it was convenient for me, or it was something that we wanted to do. No, my whole life was transformed when I said I do. Everything I do from that point on, when I got married, it was oriented to my wife. It's not that I thought about it at all times, but everything I did, all the decisions, it had to go through her somehow, because it affected her. But I really think it's important that you understand that it's not, watch this one, it's not perfection. Meaning, I am not orienting my life perfectly to Christ. Again, I'll refer to my marriage. When I got married, October 15th, 1988, for the first 3 days of our marriage, I served my wife's needs, every one of them. I was a perfect husband. But ever since, she has failed me. Ever since, we have failed to give ourselves perfectly to each other. But just because we failed each other for the last 20 years does not make us any less married. And the same thing, I might not be thinking of God at all times, and I will fail to orient my life to Him, have Him at the center of my life, but it makes me no less in a relationship with Him. Now, if you would look at these circles, what circle, and I want you to take a moment to think about, would best represent your life? Take 10 seconds to think about it. Now, what circle would you like to best represent your life? The third circle, which talks about Jesus being relevant and real, and you're trying to serve and live in His will? Or is it the second circle, there's just one little aspect that you want to keep Him distant in your life? I've asked this question, and 99% of the people say the third circle. Well, I want you to know that there are some of you here tonight, this afternoon, who would look at this and you see yourself in the second circle, but you desire to be in the third circle. Tonight, there is an opportunity for you to move from dating God to marrying Him, to having Him as an aspect, to having Him within your heart at the center of your life. And this decision that you can make tonight, and He'll be present in the Eucharist tonight, you approach Him, is based on a decision. See, I didn't become a perfect husband and then I married my wife. I decided to marry her. I made a decision. I opened my heart to her and she opened her heart to me. And for the rest of our life, from after our marriage, then is when commitment came. I was committed to that decision, and that's where effort came in. I wanted to work and struggle to become the man that she needed me to be. But that day, October 15th, 1988, was a celebration of a decision. Tonight is not about commitment. It is not about effort. It is about a decision. You coming to the throne of grace and saying, I decide to open my heart up to you. And then when you leave this conference, then you will stand on commitment. And you will make the effort to live out that commitment. A beautiful night tonight, and I encourage you all to make that decision. But I want to speak to some of you out there, and I would say almost a majority of out there. But there are many of you that look at this, and I know you, and you are in the third circle, but you say that you're in the second circle. You're living out your faith. He's at the center of your life, but you think and you're bought into the lie that you're in the second circle. And I want to challenge that lie. There are three things I want to focus in on. The first is, there's an attitude, and I've had this conversation with many. There's an attitude, I better speak to this one so you guys get a little bit of it. There's an attitude, and I've heard it many times, that people say, well, at this conference, I'm living in the third circle. But maybe January 15th, when things aren't going very well, you missed a prayer time, and maybe you stumbled a little bit, you now say, I am in the second circle. Well, then you go to another conference and you get filled with the Holy Spirit, and now I'm in the third circle. You do not understand what is being communicated in these circles. Understand the third circle, and I can guarantee you that you'll be able to live the more abundant Christian life. You'll be able to live more fully as a child that God has meant you to live. You'll be part of his family. So to understand the third circle, I think we have to understand marriage. We have to understand marriage, because it reflects our relationship with God. Like I said, October 15th, 1988, I made a decision to be married and to be one with my wife. And we became one till death do us part. I was committed to this relationship. There was nothing that would separate us. Fully committed to this relationship, and she also. We are married. Just because we go through difficult times, I'm not afraid that it's over. No longer she can be married with me, now we're just going to date. This relationship, she is my wife. And when I talk about the third circle, I'm talking about being in a relationship that till death do us part. Jesus is committed to you. He is not a fair weather friend. He is there in good times and bad times. It's important to understand that. The joy and the security that comes from this. Because what happens when you understand that you are in this relationship, that just because you stumble, it's not over, that is when, listen to this, you have the freedom to fail. The freedom to be weak and vulnerable. Listen to this. If you have the mindset that you're in the second circle, the resume, of course, failure, weakness, exposing, certain areas of your life that might be expose a weakness in your life. I could see why you'd be afraid, because it would affect the resume. You could no longer impress God if he sees that you're a sinner, or you're weak, or you fail. So you show God, if you show weakness, your resume becomes smaller. So what do? You put on a face. It might be a spiritual cover. A mask that says, look how active I am. But inside, we're barren. When you live in the second circle. But if you're living fully in the third circle, in marriage, knowing that it's a relationship, you have the freedom to fail. Because failure, weakness, is an opportunity for two things. The first thing is an opportunity to show mercy. To be able to forgive, to be able to see weakness in another person and accept it.